Yo, what's up, guys? We're live. Today we're going to be doing kind of a betting breakdown. We're going to give you guys some of the best bets that we have for UFC St. Louis. So thanks for joining us, and let's get into it, man. This first fight of the night, we got Jared Gooden. I guess this fight's off, so we're not going to be able to talk about this fight. I guess we could talk about it for a second, but Jared Gooden, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like weight cut related, but they said that he didn't get medically cleared. He was sick, so that fight's off. Yeah, man. I mean, were you still having that same read on that fight? Were you kind of thinking it was a pass for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys on this card I think we're gonna, still have to establish themselves as fighters. Giuseppe's definitely one of them, but I like Giuseppe. I like that he, made the move, from France to City Kickboxing. That's one of the best gyms in the world. So I think he's only going to develop. And for me, Jared Gooden, he's just, he's an athletic, strong guy, but he's not a very good fighter. So I kind of look to fade him.
Yeah, and Gooden, I mean, I don't know if I'm not trying to say cut him because I'm not really sure what the issue is, but he's had a lot of issues like making weight. He's missed weight a couple times. So he seems like kind of not the most trustworthy guy, but hopefully maybe they'll rebook this fight. I'm not sure, but let's get into the first fight of the night that's actually going to go down with JJ Aldridge versus Veronica Hardy, and close fight. I mean, the lines came in a little bit where it's almost a pick 'em. Hardy minus 130. You see there on Bet Online. JJ Aldridge at a plus 110. I think we got different opinions on this fight, and makes sense. One of the closest line fights on the card that we might have different opinions on it, but I'm still on Veronica Hardy here. I mean, I just feel like the big cage is also going to help her too, with the footwork, the movement. Being able to move around. Another thing that I think that's like, I was just watching JJ Aldridge's last fight with Montana, and the freaking corner was like screaming like crazy, like every time she landed a jab and like a punch. And that, I mean, I don't know if it did, but it could have affected, the scoring, even though I think JJ won that pretty easily. But with the crowd, I mean, that's not going to be as big of a deal, I don't think either. So I don't know. I just lean Hardy here, but I'm actually pretty confident she'll get the job done. But yeah, man, I mean, I could be wrong, and we'll see what happens. But I like Hardy, and I like Hardy by decision in this one, personally.
Yeah, I mean, you're selling a really good case. I mean, it's making it really hard to pick JJ Aldridge. But for me, I liked Hardy. Like I said, I had that bet on her against Juliana Miller, so she'll always kind of like fighters that hit a big underdog bet. I always will root for them. Always, make me some money. I always support them. But I mean, if you just kind of look at the girls they fought, I mean, Aldridge has fought, just a lot better girls.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
Hardy. I think of course, I love that. I'm a bit. What's your take on Dan Hardy? You're a fan of him? You like Dan Hardy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you look at like Veronica before they were together and after. It seems like she definitely has gotten a lot smarter and stuff like that, fight IQ wise, and I think a lot of that probably is Dan Hardy.
Yeah. I mean, I think he has a great mind for the game. But yeah, I just think JJ Aldrich is going to be, a little tougher here. If the fight gets scrappy, if it's, I think JJ Aldrich will look to clinch, keep that tight range boxing, limit the movement, get some control time maybe, but who knows? It'll, most likely it'll be a very close fight, and the judges could very well end up having this one in their hands, to be honest. But I'm still going to go Aldrich. I'll go decision as well. But yeah, like I said, when the prediction guru is this confident in pick, it's really hard to pick against. I'm thinking I'm gonna, be made to look a fool, but I'll stick to my guns.
I mean, this fight though, I mean, you look at the line.
You never know, dude. You never.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know. I actually usually like, if you like watch my videos like on other JJ Aldridge fights, I usually pick JJ like a lot of the time. Like even when she fought like better, you look like on paper like better girls than Veronica. But I don't know. I mean, just this moment, I keep saying Veronica Macedo, but Veronica Hardy's going to get the job done, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. But I'm interested to watch that fight even more now. It's going to be a good first fight of the night for sure. But the next one, it's another interesting fight. That's the Chase Hooper versus what's his face is next, right? Or what's the next one? Or no, it's Hadley versus Charles Johnson, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think about that fight? That's another close one.
So, you ended up picking Hadley, right? But you were a little back and forth in your breakdown, I believe, right? I think,
Yeah.
again, we're going to be on opposite sides. I kind of think Charles Johnson have a real tough time. Like I said in the early preview, picking Charles Johnson fights. And I like Jake Hadley. I'm a big fan of him, actually. He's one of my favorite flyweights. But yeah, I mean, I know and even his last loss to Cody Durden, it was a real strong performance. And I love that, he kind of grew up, as a kid, training MMA. He was kind of like morphed into a fighter almost. Like it was always his dream to be a UFC fighter, and now he's there. But, Charles Johnson, the thing is, I think Hadley accepts bottom a little bit, and I mean Johnson's really good with the submission defense. I don't know if Hadley is going to be able to submit Charles Johnson. To be honest, that would surprise me. And I think on the feet, Charles Johnson, I think will give him some problems. And I mean, we saw especially in his last fight, but the longer the fight goes, Charles Johnson tends to do better. I don't think he's too much of a gasser that I can remember. Maybe in his losses he slowed down a bit, but all of his losses are against stiff competition in the UFC. They both have that loss to Cody Durden, and in his hometown, I'm gonna go Charles Johnson, I think. But
yeah, I mean,
it's another tough pick. I'm not very confident.
So with the line, I mean, would plus 108, would that get you there? Or you would want a better line, like since you like Charles Johnson straight up.
I mean, yeah, of course, since I'm thinking he can win the fight, you love to see the plus sign next to his name. But yeah, this is another fight that really I favored to go to decision. I know Hadley's a bit of a finisher. I think most of his wins, if I'm not mistaken, have come via finish. Let me double check that.
Yeah, I think they're
eight wins by only 2 decisions. So, I mean, I think if the fight goes to decision, I mean, Charles Johnson is probably a better, minute winner in fights. Probably, he has that LFA champion experience. But both these guys, kind of high fight IQ guys, I think.
Well, what's Johnson's record in decisions too, though? Because he lost a lot.
Probably terrible.
In the UFC, he lost a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess in LFA he was winning. So.
Yeah, 5 and 6 in decisions.
Yeah,
but
so I mean,
you see Charles tends to go to decision.
At least, like he has that
and never been finished.
Decision. Yeah.
So, but the over is pretty juiced. It's minus 260.
I mean, for me, like I couldn't find unless Hadley round 1 to me is like the only line that jumped out to me that had like any value, and that one it's tough to
plus 700. Do we have here? We see it right here.
You watch the only reason why I'm thinking that is you watch Charles's last fight and he got hurt really bad in the first round, so it could happen, but plus 700, that's the only reason why it's kind of enticing me. But I just don't like this fight really from a betting perspective, honestly, just personally, But if you like Charles Johnson plus money, in his hometown, I guess it's
exactly that's
probably not
not
a bad play, either. But
and do you lean more towards a submission or a knockout? How do you see it going? Because for me, I think definitely anyone can get caught. I'll never say someone can't get caught or finished, but I don't know. I mean, Charles Johnson, especially in the Muhammad Mokaev fight, which we know maybe now he's not this prolific finisher as we might have thought, but his submission defense and his overall grappling defense has really been a strong suit of his game in my opinion. So I think if Hadley goes on bottom, he's just going to get controlled, especially if he jumps guard or something like that. And I think it'll be probably a very close fight on the feet, but I like Johnson to edge it out.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that's going to be a good one, too. I think that's going to be a close decision, though, either way. I mean, we'll see. Unless I think if someone gets the finish, it'll be Hadley. But next fight, Trey Waters versus Billy Goff. This is another one that, people have been going kind of back and forth on, and it makes sense because this is a tough fight to really cap. It's hard to know what both these guys are going to do against this style of fighter because we haven't really seen too much of them. Billy Goff, I don't know if he's ever fought someone that's 6'5" or ever will again. I mean, probably not, but
especially not at welterweight,
Anytime you're fighting Trey Waters at welterweight, it's probably going to be like a couple time experience, So that's going to be interesting, but both these guys are probably going to box. I mean, Billy Goff may try to mix in the takedowns, and if he can get on top, I think he'll be effective. But I doubt he'll be able to get the takedowns, honestly. So it's going to probably be a stand-up fight, and pretty much just going to come down to who you think is going to be able to implement what they want to do. You know, if Billy Goff can get on the inside, then he's going to be effective, obviously, because you look at just Trey Waters' build, he's not going to be able to really do much against a guy like Billy Goff on the inside that goes to the body, that throws combinations. He has to have that range to kind of let his hands go. He's not a hooker either, Trey Waters. He throws a lot of straight punches. So, but yeah, Goff is just super open, super hittable. So definitely could get caught, get knocked out. I think the under 2.5 minus 175. That's a decent bet right there. You know, it's not the worst odds. I don't see this fight going to decision, honestly. I just don't think it's going to probably even go to the third round. So, yeah, I think that fight doesn't go to decision. Under 2.5 rounds is kind of what I'm looking at with this one.
Yeah, so both of these guys, man, in my opinion, just it's real hard to say because they've literally fought nobody. If you go and dig into the records, I mean, maybe the combined best win on both of these guys' record is Josh Quinlan, who has one win in the UFC. You know, so it's just real hard to tell. I do favor Waters though. I mean, I just think he has the physical advantages that make him really dangerous. I hope the weight cut, you know, isn't taking too much out of him, but I don't think so because he's, you know, a real lanky guy, you know, kind of has that build that can get him pretty light. But again, we're gonna disagree a little because I actually kind of in my head I'm thinking he kind of picks him apart for 3 rounds, kind of just uses the range. I don't know. I Billy Goff takes me as a tough guy. You know, his one loss was, I believe, a doctor stoppage that came by finish. So I don't know if he's ever been put out before. Yeah, that's correct. It was a cut that stopped his one loss by finish, and he has one other decision loss. So I don't know. Billy Goff, I take him as a tough guy. Even if he gets hurt, I think he'll recover. Maybe, you know, get a takedown when he's hurt and control some time, which I think is. I don't think he's going to be able to hang with Waters on the feet, to be honest. I think he's got to wrestle here, and I don't even know what his wrestling game would look like, to be honest. But yeah, I like Waters. I think it's a good line, minus 147. I would have expected it to be a little higher just because of, you know, the build that Waters have and based on his last performance, because I know I trashed Quinlan a little, but Quinlan is not a terrible fighter in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Waters, if he wins this one and looks impressive, then you're probably not going to get him those kind of odds again. So, yeah, if you like Trey Waters as a prospect, I think that's probably not a bad play. But man, this fight is real volatile to me, though. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's going to definitely be a good one. But this next fight, to be honest, I'm not too interested in this fight from a betting perspective. You know, Tisha Torres taking on Tabitha Ricci. You know, originally I was more on Torres. I was thinking that Torres was going to get the job done. But now, you know, as the week's gone on, I kind of flipped my pick and went to Ricci. And I don't know. I just feel like even if Tabitha's striking is ineffective, she's going to throw more volume, move around a little bit more. And Tisha, I think that she's going to be coming in with their blitzes, but I just don't know how in shape she's going to be, how fast she's going to be. And I don't think she's going to be able to mix it up and get takedowns in this one. I think Ricci, if anyone's going to be able to do that. So kind of switch towards Tabitha Ricci on this one. So, but kind of not a fight I'm too interested in, to be honest.
Yeah, man, and I think I might have a little bias in this fight because for whatever reason, Tisha Torres just is kind of one of my favorite women fighter. I always kind of root for her. And I mean, if you look, I'm looking at, she looks in great shape. I mean, she's shredded. She always comes in really great shape, and she has, you know, that fast darting style. You know, she'll throw some punches at the air sometimes, and maybe isn't the most exciting fighter in the world. But I like Tisha Torres, Tisha Pennington. And you know, Tabitha Ricci, this is, you know, I completely agree. You should definitely be a pass. I'm going to try not to bet on Tisha Torres, but I probably will at the underdog money. But yeah, just tough fight to call, man. I think Tisha just is able to stuff the takedowns, and I think is the better striker and is going to be really hungry for a win. Like we said in the breakdown, sometimes stuff like that. It's Mother's Day, and this is her first fight since having a baby. And Raquel, her wife, is the champion, so they're not in a position where I think she needs to fight for money. She's doing this because she loves the sport and still probably has some pretty high expectations. In her last fight, I mean, for me, it was one of the worst decisions ever, dude. I couldn't believe they gave that to Mackenzie Dern. Really, I was shocked. So she proved in her last fight she can still hang at the top of the division, but pregnancy really can change fighters sometimes. So it's hard to be confident. In Tisha Torres especially.
But like if Tabitha and Mackenzie fought, don't you think Tabitha would win that? Because I think she would.
Yeah, I mean, Mackenzie Dern, I mean, I tend to pick her in fights, and she just screws me and is terrible all the time. But I don't know. I mean, Mackenzie could definitely has a chance to submit her if Ricci came in with a good game plan and just struck with her 100%. But if she, tried to shoot a takedown or, let Mackenzie get on bottom and engaged, that could be her end of the fight there. But yeah, man. I mean, Tisha Torres beat Mackenzie Dern, but judges just didn't happen to see it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that fight, if Tisha wins that one, that'll be impressive to
me. And I think maybe I just want to see that happen because I'd be real happy for her. That would be really cool for her to come off all this time. And, a lot of people, myself included, it's, a real narrative in MMA. And I don't know if it's a bias because it's a real statistical thing, I believe. But, after coming off a pregnancy, I'm sure she's ready to prove all of us stupid men wrong,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. But, this next fight, man, this is going to be a sick fight right here. Terrence McKinney versus Esteban Ribovics. Man, I mean, to me, this is a kind of a hard fight to predict. I think every McKinney fight's kind of hard to predict. But, I don't know. Originally, I was watching a couple of Esteban's fights, and he was coming out and just brawling right away, and he got rocked in a couple of his fights early on. So, if he does that here, I think McKinney's probably going to turn him lights out. So we'll see. But I actually, watching Esteban's last couple of fights again, I was pretty impressed with him. I liked his cardio. I thought his cardio was incredible. Like, the guy never got tired. Like, he was fighting Loic Radzhabov on like short notice, like 2 weeks notice or something. And the guy's getting taken down like 100 times. He keeps getting up, and he really made that fight super competitive. So I was pretty impressed with that. I like the way that he goes to the body. So I feel like this is a pretty standard Terrence McKinney fight where he's going to have a chance to either bomb him out of there early, get that takedown, take the back, get the rear naked choke, and he's going to go all out for it. I mean, you already know he's going to go balls to the wall in the first round. And if he doesn't get that finish, I just don't see the second and third round going good for him. I think he'll probably get taken out himself just because Esteban comes forward, he throws combos, he's going to be aggressive, and he's not going to get tired. So I'm going to go with Esteban here, but to me, I think McKinney has a decent chance to win in the first round too. So, maybe it's a good live betting spot, bet McKinney first as the underdog, and then if he doesn't get the finish in the first round, then bet on Esteban. But yeah, man, that's kind of what I'm thinking,
Yeah, I think this could be a buy low spot for McKinney. I'm not sold on Esteban. He definitely has a lot of heart. That's a great point. And McKinney fades. But I think McKinney's just a better fighter. Has the more physical talents, has the better grappling base. The forward pressure of Esteban is really nice, but I think that could open the window for takedowns. And I mean, we saw he has a great get up game, but you can only get up so many times because he got taken down that many times. So as someone who's rooting for Terrence McKinney to progress as a fighter, and if we're going to be rooting for him because I'm taking him here, I want him to be reserved. I mean, we know we've never look at the decision is plus 1,200. I mean, I'm going to bet Terrence McKinney for a decision bet to be plus 1,200, I mean, I know he never has gone to decision and probably never will, but I mean, I'm betting on him, and Ribovics is tough as hell, dude. He's a tough. I mean, we've seen it. So, I mean, maybe we see something where McKinney dominates round one, maybe gets a 10-8. So maybe a draw is in play. But like I said, I don't know if the fight is gonna has any chance in hell of going to decision. But
Yeah,
I like the value. I see a plus 1,200 for a decision line. I start going crazy.
I can't see McKinney. I can't see McKinney wrestling like for 3 rounds. That would be.
Yeah, he's too much on his gas tank. Yeah, but maybe he's just able to control.
He's gonna go all out for the choke. Like if he gets one takedown, he's gonna take the back and like fucking try to squeeze as hard as he can. He's gonna do it 100%. So it's like he's either gonna get the finish. If he can do that for 3 rounds, then he's going to be like one of the best guys in the division. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't know if he's just tries, because McKinney's another guy. He's like super involved in the MMA community. He's always interacting with people. He's clearly a fan of the sport. You can really tell. He interacts with stuff like that. Has nothing to do with him. Just comments on the sport. I don't know why he wouldn't have a little fight IQ. I don't know if he just loves entertaining the fans, and
I think he's definitely
props to him.
Like he's
or maybe he just knows he can't go 3 rounds. He just doesn't have that.
He's a little bit cocky though. You could tell.
Yeah.
Like he's full of himself. Like he like would say like back in. I think he's a little bit better now. Back in the day, he would always call out like he's like, "Oh, I'll beat Hamza in a wrestling match," and like all this stupid shit like that. So it's like, I think he really believes like. If I get your back, you're not going to survive. I'm going to choke you out, so he just goes for 100%.
I mean, he's definitely been humbled in the UFC.
Yeah. It's not like he's not super young either, he's almost 30. So, we'll see. He'd have to do it now, if he's going to, and it would have to be wrestling. He couldn't, if he tries to strike for 3 rounds, dude, that's not going to go good. He's
just too much of an explosive style, but
and his chin he's more right in the air, dude. Like his chin is right in the air when he's striking. Like he just has horrible defense. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely like, we'll see. I mean, if he wrestled for 3 rounds in that wrestling cardio, he'd be like one of the best guys. But we'll see if he can do it.
Maybe I'm just hoping for McKinney to develop, but I mean,
no USADA, so we'll see.
Post USADA McKinney might be a new legendary fighter.
Yeah. But man, this next fight, this is one of the fights that I'm most looking forward to on the card right here with Slava Borchev versus Chase Hooper, just because I think it's pretty much a 50-50 fight. Chase Hooper, if you can get it to the ground, I think the fight will be over pretty much. I mean, you see Slava make a lot of basic mistakes on the ground, and he's faced guys that have taken him down, and he's been able to turtle, get back up, but he's facing more wrestlers or guys that are like strikers that are taking him down, not jiu-jitsu based guys, where if he turtles and tries to expose his back to stand up with Hooper's going to take his back and submit him real quick. So, it's just going to be if Hooper can get that takedown before he dies on the feet. So, Slava's not like a huge power guy, so I do feel like Chase Hooper maybe could take some shots. So that's what makes this fight interesting. But Borchev is definitely precise, and if he could stuff a couple takedowns, then he's probably going to be able to get the range and pick apart Chase till he can end the fight. So, man, I mean, I'm kind of struggling with this one a little bit, but I'm going to go with Slava here. I just feel like watching his last fight with Nazim, who I think is a more explosive athlete than Chase, a little bit stronger, bigger guy, he got in on him, and Borchev defended a couple takedowns, and I just don't know if Hooper is going to be able to take him down necessarily. So, if Hooper gets him to the ground, I think the fight will be finished. But, yeah, man, I mean, over 1.5 rounds I think is kind of interesting. I don't really like the odds. I wish it was plus money. But, because I do think Chase could take some shots. I don't really feel like Slava is like a huge power hitter. And the other thing about Slava is he has no chin. He gets rocked a lot in a lot of his fights. But Hooper's not gonna knock him out, though. So it doesn't really matter in this one. But, yeah, man, I feel like this fight's probably not going to go to decision, but I could see it going over 1.5 rounds.
Yeah. Which to me, I mean, you probably know more about this than me. It's a bit of a weird line. You see the fight ends inside of the distance minus 325, but then the over 1.5 is minus 125.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a weird line to me, in my opinion. You would think it would be a bit of value because the majority of fights end in round 1 that get finished.
Yeah, there's definitely value there for sure. Especially like look at the under 2.5. It's like minus 240. So
yeah, it's definitely a little weird, I would say, that line. So maybe it's for a reason and they know something,
yeah.
But yeah, this fight, like you said, it's real hard to be confident on because it's just, if the fight touches the mat, it's over. But on the feet, dude, I'm like scared for Chase Hooper. I think Slavakos is gonna really beat him up bad, and that's gonna be my pick. I feel better finally. We're agreeing on some picks, hopefully. But yeah, Slavakos, man, on the feet, dude. I think it's gonna be like really ugly. Like I think it's gonna get because, like you said, he's not gonna knock him out with one punch. I think he's gonna butcher him, dude. And I mean, yeah, I like Slava. I'm a fan. I think he has an exciting style, and with the fans, I think the fans are going to be going nuts. Yeah, 100%. If the fight touches the ground, I think it's over. I think Hooper's grappling is nasty, like some of the best we can see in the UFC from a grappling jiu-jitsu base. But man, on the feet, I think it's Borchev all day.
And dude, shout out to Hooper too, though. Like his striking still sucks, but when he fought Nick Fiore, he got better. He got better with the striking. He can volume guys, but it's just not gonna happen.
With Borchev, I mean, he's a legit kickboxer, like nasty on the feet. Like if he starts throwing body shots at Chase Hooper, like I think he's gonna like snap his ribs, dude.
I would be pissed, like if I'm not gonna bet Slava, but if I did, if he like drops him and then jumps in his guard and gets subbed, that would
be one of the. He would 100% deserve to lose. I mean, 100%. If you just do not try to touch this guy, Chase Hooper, you could submit him in a clinch and something because he's so tall. You never know. You can jump on a neck and stay away from him. Don't engage at all with Chase Hooper in this fight. That's how you win. So yeah. So finally we agree on Borchev. I think. I think he'll get the finish. I think he'll get him out of there eventually.
Yo, Beaver Covington, me personally, my co-host disagrees on this one, but me personally, I mean, for me, my best bet for this card, value-wise, I would say Macedo or Veronica Hardy to win via decision. So that's what I would say, bro. But, yeah, man, this next fight, Waldo Cortez-Acosta versus Robelis Despaigne. I mean, man, you can't really say much about this fight. I'll let you go first, but yeah, hard fight to cap with Robelis Despaigne, with how little we've seen of him and, the guys that he's fought.
I mean, he fought Josh Parisian, dude. Did you not?
Yeah, big Josh.
Dude, I always loved Josh Parisian because of his Ultimate Fighter, the knockout, the spinning back fist. I always loved him. And then I'm like, wow, this guy is just literally the worst fighter that's ever been in the UFC after a while. It took years for that to set in. But yeah, I mean, Robelis, dude, I'm a big fan of this guy. I mean, maybe he is not my top prospect on skills, of course, but in terms of someone I'm just excited to see, like, really, I mean, this guy's so huge, bro. He's just a huge human being. Like, it must be terrifying to fight him if you think about it. I mean, he's massive. And I mean, he's athletic, he's dynamic, and this is a cool matchup for me. It's not when you it's like a Battle of the Caribbeans, Puerto Rico versus Cuba. Not a matchup you see a lot in the UFC, not like America versus Brazil or something. So I like when there's cool country clashes.
Yeah,
and
it's more like a box. More like a box.
Exactly. Or baseball game. But yeah, I'm Robelis. I mean, Waldo Acosta, I actually think he's a decent fighter, but I don't. I'm on the Robelis train until I look stupid.
Do they have those odds where it's like win in like the first 60 seconds? Like if you scroll down.
Want to know the craziest thing ever is FanDuel has. I use FanDuel, no sponsor, but whatever. Bro. Every fight, I would say, most definitely the main cards, they have it. Robelis' last fight, I'm not trying to be wise. I was going to bet it for first minute knockout. It was the easiest lock ever. They didn't have the odds on it last time, but I mean, it should have been like minus. First round knockout, I think, was like maybe minus 110 last time, but really, I think it was heavier than that. I could
Well, like
check.
scroll down on here, and you could see it potentially. They might have it because they have all
Oh,
like
yeah, they'll definitely have it for this fight. I mean, him winning by TKO minus 185, Despaigne in round 1 minus 130.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
if
what
you
I
like
think he
Despaigne to
knocks him
win
out
it
in one
by
round.
minus 185, I mean, just bet that. Don't bet the minus 130 to me because it's like it's more than likely
Yeah,
gonna
it's almost
happen.
the same
But
thing. Yeah,
yeah, man,
just in case. That's definitely a lot smarter bet. Is just
and I
take
don't
the
think he's gonna
knockout.
sub the guy. I mean, I've never seen him
I mean,
attempt a submission. So if he wins by decision, then fuck. I mean, be pretty
I mean,
crazy.
you just can't stand
So,
with this guy. I mean, Rebellis' last fight's literally, bro. It's insane, bro. 12 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 18 seconds.
and
I mean,
I've seen Waldo. He's gotten knocked out cold before, like in boxing matches. He's gotten like KO'd out cold stiff. So like,
he's
know,
going to
if
sleep.
that could happen, he could definitely go to sleep. So, but yeah, the one
4-ounce
thing about
gloves getting
Rebellis
hit
though,
by.
it's like if it gets to the second round, you think he's gonna have any cardio at all?
I think if he gets it taken down one time, the fight might be. I mean, this guy's
Waldo,
he more than anyone thinks he's knocking anyone out in the world. He probably, he's. I hope he knows how to stuff takedowns, but I have no faith at all that he'll be able to get up off the ground, or that if it's past maybe even the first, who knows? This guy might have a minute of cardio. This might have 30 seconds of cardio. We don't know because none of his fights even go 30 seconds. But he has that Taekwondo style.
thinking.
So you know what? I think he's athletic. It's not like he comes out of shape. He's huge, but he's light on his feet. He's bouncy. I think he could have decent cardio. Who knows? He might look like a Steven. He might try to start point fighting. That's what Taekwondo is.
I don't think he will, Nick Rodriguez. But if he did, like, if there was a fight where he wanted to like get cage time in and stuff like that,
against Josh Parisian.
But it would be this fight too, though, because it's like, Waldo's not going to take him down, and they're just going to box. So,
yeah,
if he wanted to just move around, I guess he could try it this time. But I don't know why he would. I mean,
I don't think I really would be, to be honest, surprised if any fighters really ever go there looking to get cage time in.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I guess it's like with him, it's like eventually though he's gonna have to have a long fight. So. We'll see. I mean, maybe he never will. But what do you think? I saw people were talking about this on Twitter. Like, you remember the fight where Jairzinho fought Francis and he like hit him going backwards like that or whatever? You think
Francis knockout was crazy?
You think Rebellis
rushed him?
You think he would have KO'd him with the shot going backwards like he did Josh? Probably not. But that's funny.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, king of back-out knockouts is always going to be Stipe for that. Doom knockout when he won the title.
Yeah, that's
sick. One of the sickest knockouts ever. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he want to get touched by Rebel. You can't look at his fight. You can't even get hit. He hits you one time and that's it. I mean, I know I'm gassing him up, hyping him up, but I like, believing in the hype sometimes. Exactly, Olympic athlete. And we always talk about it with Yoel, but I mean,
but the thing is with
who knows what this kid grew up in? He probably was made in a lab too. Like
with Taekwondo, do they like how long is that? Or like I don't know anything about that.
Me neither. I've literally
so like that's I don't know if it's like it could be really quick. That like so I don't know if that shows he has cardio or not. But I'm not sure to be honest.
But I think just, in saying the pedigree, that he was an Olympian,
he's definitely that
says a lot about him as a person and as an athlete. You know what I mean? So I do think it's a valid point. That
this is going to be the first time with a crowd too. And like that would maybe be a factor for like other people. But for him, it's not going to be like a factor at all. So that type of thing for sure. And just high level competition is always good for sure. But he said he's got Despaigne by decision. What are the odds on that?
Oh my gosh.
Him by decision.
If I thought do you think now, before I pull it up, higher or lower than Terrence McKinney at plus 1,200?
I would say plus 1,750.
Damn.
I'm just guessing.
Let's see. It's gonna be crazy though, yeah. Fight goes the distance is plus 500, so yeah, it's not. I don't think it'll be Despaigne by decision plus 1,000. So
plus 1,000. Yeah.
McKinney's less likely, and we'll see in the main event.
I guess
Derek Lewis can win a decision.
Plus 14, so some people are betting on it. I guess a couple people. Bet it down to plus
But I
1,000.
mean, if he wins this fight by first round knockout, I mean, almost no matter who unless he's fighting like a Pavlovich in his next fight, he's gonna be like minus 500. I think.
I think
If he
honestly,
just washes Waldo, he's gonna be.
I could be
The hype
wrong,
is
but
really gonna soar.
I think if Robellis wins this fight and Derek Lewis wins, I think they're gonna fight.
Oh,
I think that's what they're gonna do.
and he'll fuck up
you know,
Derek Lewis. I mean,
that's
you can
kinda
make
what
that fight if Derek wins or loses. If Derek
Yeah,
doesn't,
even if he loses, yeah.
he
But
might
I
take
feel
a lot
like
of,
if he wins, for sure they're gonna book that next
definitely,
as a main event. I feel like.
which is a big step up. But
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I could be way off. They could like
no,
try to
I
build
100% see it. That's a great call.
but I think that they might do that because it's
That's
like Derek Lewis is fighting random guys now. Like
Yeah, he's
like
fighting
the
the
guy
most.
in the main event.
Derek Lewis fights the most random guys ever. I mean,
So-
we were talking about it before the week, but I got DeLima and this guy Nascimento confused because they're just like the same guy. Like they're just big Brazilians. You know, they leg kick. They got some submissions.
Yeah,
He's just
like
fighting clones.
and Derek Lewis has fought so many Euro guys too, like just random like guys, fucking Europe. I don't know, but and he always like fucks those guys up. Every time you see him like fighting like a Russian guy or a European guy, he's gonna win. Like I don't know why, but he always does. But
That's some crazy. There's some good Derek Lewis memories. The Olynyk fight. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Where he was in that scarf hold choke, just getting his neck cranked.
what's up, dude? Hardy decision, Johnson decision, Woodson decision. I mean, honestly, I don't think that's bad. That's a bad bet at all. It's just like plus 1308 because I like Hardy by decision honestly as like I
Those
like
odds
that
should
as a
be
bet. And
those
then
odds should be better though. Plus 1308 is.
yeah, but it's
I
not.
mean,
It's
for a
not. It's
three
only
leg,
three lines.
3-leg prop bet. I mean, I think it should
Yeah.
definitely be higher.
But the only one I would be, I think Johnson by decision. That's like a decent play because I feel like probably I would be the most worried about Woodson, man, just because I don't like Woodson's chin. Like man, I don't. We're talking about that fight now, so we'll get into it. But
Yeah.
I just don't like Woodson at chalk, man, at that line. And I get the decision too, but man, watching that fight with Luis Saldana, that fight scares me, man. When I'm watching him versus Caceres, because they're similar, you know, where they're kind. I think Saldana's a little bit more explosive and probably a little bit better striker with more power, but they're both long and they throw those, 3-2 straight punches over the top, and I don't know what it was, but Woodson was getting clipped, so easy in that first round. She should have got knocked out, man. I mean, I don't know what Saldana was. He did the same thing Jalen Turner did with Moicano, where he like turned around and let him off the hook. He really should have won that fight. It was a draw, right, with Woodson and Saldana. But yeah, I feel like Caceres maybe could catch him, with the head kick or something and hurt him and finish him. And I think his grappling is a lot better than Woodson. So honestly, I see this as a dog or pass, but I don't know. I never could trust Caceres, man. I never can find myself betting him. It's like I'll always be like, I think Caceres has value, and I could never pull the trigger. I don't know. I guess I've seen him lose too many times. But man, I mean, this guy's gotten way better. He used to always fucking get submitted with rear naked chokes. Like if you look at his record, he got submitted by rear naked chokes like 8 times. And now he's a fucking he has sick back takes and rear naked chokes. So like he definitely said he got rear naked choke for the 10th time or whatever time, drilled it in his head. He's like, this is never happening again. I'm gonna fucking start choking the shit out of people myself. So he's definitely, Caceres is a beast, man. He's lasted in the UFC for a while, but I'm still gonna pick Woodson. Having said all that, I'm gonna say Woodson wins this one, but total pass fight for me, I guess, unless you wanna, trust Caceres.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like this fight. Not to go to the decision. Plus 220. I think. You did mention I like Woodson to win. Knockout. You mentioned Woodson. Maybe your biggest concern is the chin. I mean, but fighting Alex Caceres, I mean, that's almost he doesn't knock anybody out.
Yeah,
I would.
That's true.
That's just not an.
He knocked out Arosa.
Oh yeah, he did. He kicked him in the head.
J.
Yeah, but Arosa's another one. No chin.
Yeah, no chin.
Still finds a way to win fights. I'll never pick Julian Arosa in almost every fight I fade him. We'll see that going forward. But yeah, I think Woodson knocks him out. What scares me is you were mentioning is the grappling. I think Caceres is going to try to grapple here because I think Woodson on the feet is real slick and really coming into his own. I'm a big Charles Jourdain fan, so that win, I know it was a close fight, but looks good. And he did have the Luis Saldana, like you said, great point you made, bringing up that fight and the similarities. And Luis Saldana's, they're similar, but Saldana is way worse than Caceres. Caceres is like a much, much better Saldana. So, I mean, definitely could pose an issue. And I definitely see a, possibility where this fight goes to the ground and Caceres takes it back and chokes him out or something.
Yeah. We saw Arosa choked out Woodson, I remember, but that was a while ago, though.
Yeah, but I like the under in this fight. I like Woodson by knockout. But
So you
just
like
as far
like
as
the under, huh?
yeah, I actually, at plus, I actually, well, I'll definitely bet the under, and I like that way more than taking Woodson or even Woodson by knockout or Caceres. I think that under 2.5 at plus 220 is nice, or just, but in the same thing, just take the fight, not to go to the decision at plus 200, much safer. You never know, this fight could end late in the third round, and you don't want to get screwed there. So take the fight not to go to decision.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one, man. I feel like because Caceres is just a tough guy to fight, but Jourdain or Caceres, I don't know. I mean, like Jourdain is another guy where it's like he always every fight that he's in, it's gonna be a close fight unless he finishes the guy. So I think I would go with Jourdain though, but
I would definitely go Jourdain. And Alex Caceres, it is impressive how long he's stuck around in the UFC, but 35 now, everyone, it's so overplayed, it's so oversaid, but we know the statistics in the lighter weight classes with 35. That's kind of the age, you start to see fighters fade out a little bit for the most part. Especially, in the lighter weight classes. I want to stress that. And it's not the case with every fighter. A lot of these guys can find age and look really good as their career progresses, but I'm going Woodson here, but
yeah,
I don't. Minus 230. It's just I'm not willing to pay it.
I remember seeing Caceres like he was on UFC on Fuel TV. It was like prelim. That's like how it was a long ass time ago. But yeah, man. Next fight, this one to me, pretty easy fight to predict here. I'm a fan of CDF, but he looked in good shape too. I thought he might struggle with the weight cut, but it looked like he came in prepared for this fight, cut weight good, and looked strong at weigh-ins. So maybe it could be competitive like first round, but I feel like Rebecki, if he fights smart here, doesn't engage in the grappling, I think he could win it easily with his pressure, with his boxing. I like his head movement and inside fighting, in close range. So I feel like he's probably going to be able to melt Ferreira and maybe finish him, second or third, or win a kind of a clear decision. But if he does try to mix in takedowns, things like that, and starts to have some scrambles and stuff, Ferreira could maybe catch him or get into some dominant positions and make the fight competitive. And I just feel like Rebecki, it's going to be an IQ fight for him. He did a good job against Nick Fiore where he fought another grappler and he kept it standing and struck pretty much that whole fight until he got tired, which hopefully in this one he doesn't get as tired and doesn't have to go to takedowns third round. But yeah, I feel like Rebecki's probably going to dominate this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not too I'm going to pick Rebecki, maybe because I'm a pussy, maybe just because I think he's going to win the fight. But, I mean, as far as like a big underdog on this card that I think could hit it, it's CDF. I mean, the one thing is, there's two things. Well, there's a couple of things, plenty of sorry. But he's inactive and he's, what is it, 39?
Yeah, 39.
He's old, dude. But he's been old for a while if he's 39. He was 35 4 years ago. Yeah. But this is, in my opinion, by far, as far as in the UFC, I'm not too familiar with the guys. Rebecki fought in KSW, those Polish guys I know are real tough. But this is, he's a better fighter than Loic Radzovich and way, way, way better than Nick Fiore and Roosevelt Roberts. CDF is a whole different level. And, I mean, you said it, his grappling is like, in my opinion, some of the best in the division, even maybe in the whole UFC. That fight, I said it, I think the one time will always stand out with Gregor Gillespie. But you saw in that fight how Gillespie won is he faded. CDF faded. And I think against Rebecki, Rebecki's a shark, dude. I'm real impressed. But if I have Rebecki in a lot of parlays, I would be careful because I think that's what a lot of people will do. And you're going to be sweating, dude. CDF is definitely live, and there's definitely value on him. Fight to end inside the distance minus 205. Not a huge fan of that line because that's a tough one. I mean, I think probably I would really think either way, especially if you're on CDF. It ends inside the distance, but I think Rebecki's too much. But we might see a third round where both these guys are tired and it's a little bit of sloppy and they're kind of just leaning on each other a little bit. Hard to say, but like I said, this fight, I definitely think the line's a little off and people should show CDF a little more respect, especially coming in the way he did. Maybe I'll have the balls to flip it, but I can't do it right now. I'm too high on Rebecki. I don't think he's gonna.
What I like about CDF too, though, man, is he's been getting hurt in fights. Like that's not good, especially with this age.
Exactly, the body's starting to break down.
Hurt his not the fight with Michael Johnson, which even that fight though, you got to admit, like he was getting his ass whooped in that fight. Like,
but Michael Johnson can beat anyone.
I know, but he just landed that fucking fluke. I'm not gonna say it was a fluke, but
it was like a Hail Mary. Like in football, you throw a Hail Mary. I mean, he literally threw like a Hail Mary. Dude. Like it happened.
It just caught him. Like
it was a crazy knockout though.
But I think he was definitely like on his way to losing that one.
Yeah, that 100%. But that's why it's hard. He has the power too. Clearly.
Yeah,
but I think Rebecki's a shark. I don't think he's someone who's going to get fraud checked. He might, be able to compete with some of the top guys, but also I'm not too sure. This is a big step up in my opinion. Well, I know Loic's like a decent fighter, but
he has beaten I can't remember his name right now, but he beat this guy that Marius something. He was a KSW champ. Like he fought Gamrot a couple times and stuff, but he beat him a while ago though.
Marian Zalowitsky.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, good record. Yeah, like I said, I'm not too familiar with those KSW guys really at all, but
that guy doesn't fight anything like CDF though. But it's it's a good win on his resume.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited to see Rebecki develop and CDF back in the octagon. I think it'll be a good fight. Like I said, if you want a big underdog on this card, I don't think there's anyone better than Carlos Diego Ferreira. If we're talking like in the plus 200s, plus 300s, there's a lot of close lines on this card though. So I'm not saying
honestly to me, I like this plus 200 that we're going to talk about next a little bit more. Even though I'm not on Alonso, but I feel like that line is off, man. I mean, Ulberg, he's looked really impressive. He's been able to bomb these guys out of there. Uses precision, but I mean, he hasn't fought anyone that's explosive and dangerous like Menifield that's going to probably try to mix it up and hit takedowns. Like, he fought guys that are going to strike with him, like Ihor Poteria, who we know doesn't have a great chin. The guy's not necessarily like – we just saw him versus Michel get through in like 10 seconds. So, and then trying to remember like some of the other – Ulberg fought Dong Jung. That guy is a straight-up striker. He wasn't going to go for takedowns. And so, man, I feel like Alonso, if he mixes it up and is aggressive, uses his speed, he definitely has the power to. And we've seen him do well against other guys that are long, precision strikers. I don't think like Dustin Jacoby, but I don't think that Ulberg or Jacoby has the same power as Ulberg. So that could play a factor. I mean, we've seen Menifield get knocked out by OSP before. But, man, Menifield's been looking good recently, and I feel like the line's off. So I think it's Menifield or pass, personally, and I think Menifield by knockout, that's plus 415. I mean, to me, that's decent value there. He definitely has a chance to get that knockout. We've seen Ulberg get KO'd in the past, too, so it's not like we haven't seen it happen. So I feel like Menifield is the play here if you're going to play anyone for this fight.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points. I definitely think Menifield is live. You're making, this was, you sold it hard there. You made it. But I like Ulberg, dude. I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of his skills, training city kickboxing. We know since his Contender Series fight, he's been hyped up. This is a guy who for a few years now has been getting a lot of hype. He had that setback in his UFC debut, I believe it was. But, I think he learned a lot of it from that fight. It's not necessarily, he could have definitely won that fight had he approached it differently. It's not like he was outgunned in that fight. He made a mistake, and, I think he learned and grew from it and is a better fighter because of it. And I think he'll show that against Alonzo Menifield. But I'm also scarred for life with Menifield when he lost to William Knight. I mean, I'll never forgive him for that. That was like one of my all-time most confident picks is Menifield. He said he lost
to Devin Clark. Yeah. That's another really bad loss.
Devin Clark gets a little too much disrespect. He's decent. I mean, way better than William. I think.
Yeah, he's for sure better than William Knight. But that's not like if you're gonna want to be like a top 15 guy, you can't be losing to Devin Clark. Even though he made it there at this point, but that's not not the greatest look. But I don't know, to be honest, Billy. I'm not sure why. Do you know why he pulled out of that fight, Atlantic City card? I'm not sure, to be honest, but
I think it got pulled pretty early on. So I would guess it was just a small injury because they booked it pretty quickly. Something they probably knew that they would be able to get going. So maybe I'm not really too sure, but good. Who pulled it out? It was Ulberg or Menifield?
Said Ulberg was injured. So
yeah, so definitely that's something to look at. Could still be lingering.
That was not that long ago, that card. So
yeah, 2 months about. I was there in New Jersey.
Ulberg has that's true. I mean, I'm not saying that Ulberg doesn't have cleaner striking. He's definitely the more technical guy. It's just the power factor with Alonzo,
100%, and the wrestling too. I think he can use it.
Yeah, we haven't seen who's the best wrestler that Ulberg fought, and I guess Kennedy, but Kennedy didn't even try to take him down.
Kennedy's a terrible wrestler too. I mean,
yeah, he's not comparable to Alonzo.
But I mean, Ulberg, I would say, he's at one of the best camps in the world, to be honest. City kickboxing. I know it's not as mythical as it once was, but
they've been losing lately, man. All of them have been losing. So, but that's true. I mean, you can't hate on the gym. They're gonna come back probably,
and they're gonna be. This guy's knows how to grapple. He's not training out at that gym and not getting hard grappling sessions in with. I'm sure he's probably, Volk is there sometimes. I'm sure he's there with Craig Jones. Craig Jones is always in that area. And they're the same. Sure. Craig Jones is a bigger guy. So if he's training with someone like him, that's the best in the world,
Yeah. All those guys train with Craig, I think, which is, really good.
Yeah. So, I said, I think Menifield's definitely live, but I'm going Ulberg, and I'll go Ulberg knockout.
OSP's still getting wins in UFC now. I mean, he just got that big upset his last fight, so... You can't
calling it as calling an OSP win in 2024. I mean, dude, you literally go who the fuck does it? You're crazy.
That was a fun fight to watch with the pick.
I'm sure it was fun. You had OSP. I would have loved.
I really wanted. I picked him to win I bet him to win by knockout in his money line, but if he was so close to KOing him in the third round, dude, I was like, fuck. But yeah, man, hopefully if OSP comes back, it fights someone. I'll definitely be tuning in, man. Either way, I know some people they hate on OSP, but. He's definitely old, but it is what it is. But
I think there's just been a couple times, to be honest, that he did not show up to fights to win. Specifically, at heavyweight. I won't forget the Tanner Bozer fight. I don't think he trained at all. I think he just showed up for a paycheck.
I remember when he fought Ben Rothwell, that fight was horrible. He would rock Ben at the end of the. He rocked Ben 3 times and would just staring at him he didn't do it. It's bro, you could knock him out potentially. You didn't It seemed like he was scared at heavyweight though. Maybe not a Tanner because he was just obviously Tanner's a light heavyweight now. But Ben was so big compared to OSP, so it's kind of funny, but. Yeah, man. This next fight, this is going to be a sick fight. And there's been a lot of, trash talk leading up to this fight. Buckley's been, going off on this. And I don't know if you've seen, all this stuff he's been saying. But, yeah, man. I mean, Nurselton, kind of another one of these guys. It's hard to cap, kind of an unknown guy. But what do you think about this one? You think Nurselton's going to keep the knockout train going, or you think Buckley is going to shut it down?
No, I'm on Buckley here. I think he's a more well-rounded fighter. I think he can implement the wrestling. But Rusubov as a underdog, just another guy. If he steamrolls Buckley, I know a lot of people like that, and say Buckley, he's chinny, he can get knocked out, and I definitely think that too. Maybe, especially I don't think chins get better when you drop down in weight, and he was getting knocked out at 185. But I think he's gonna be able to take him down, control him, and I think he's just a lot faster on the feet against Dumas. Rusubov. Really, I even rewatched the fight. Didn't I know he got a first round knockout or whatever, but it's hard to say it didn't look impressive. But I don't know. It was playing out a little closer than I had thought before he got the eye poke or whatever. But yeah, I'm on Buckley. I think Buckley. What's your take though? Let me ask you this on Vicente Luque. Do you take that into account, or are you thinking Luque pretty much would have got washed by anyone these days and shouldn't be fighting? Because that's what a lot of people are saying, to be honest, is that Luque is done. He's finished. How much stock do you take in that recent win of Buckley? Because, I mean, for me, a knockout win over Vicente Luque is huge, or should be. But I'm starting to think, Luque, he had really bad head injury, or, could have really changed him.
Yeah, I definitely think it's not as big of a win as if it was like a couple years ago. Because you could see he quit in that fight, too. Like, he kind of gave up a little bit, and you would never have seen that from Vicente, like when he was in his prime, so I do feel like he's just not as confident getting hit anymore. So I'm not sure if that fight is like as impressive as it is on paper, but either way, he went in there and dominated. So, and he's been looking good at 170, but man, I mean, I just feel like, he's not some bad karma he's coming in there with. Like, you see what he's doing with all the money shit? Do you see that at the weigh-in and all that?
Throwing it in his face, disrespecting him a little, I guess. But,
I guess because he said, do you see what he was saying earlier in the week about Nurselton?
What was he saying?
He said that he saw him, like, checking in at the hotel and that he didn't have $75 to get a room or something. He was saying he was like, he was broke. Which that, like, I don't know.
You don't want to shame someone for that, but I mean, you never know what these guys going on. Rusubov's from some, he could be supporting his whole, country, half his country with the money he makes in the UFC,
exactly.
A lot of these guys from different countries, it works different. They support their entire families, dude, entire cousins, uncles. So you never know. You don't want to bring that up. I
saw he was like,
and if anything, I mean, if he's fucking broke, you should be scared, dude. He's gonna be hungry. He's gonna. Well, whatever, 50, Buckley, I think is just trying to
coming for the 50 G's.
But and that's what people are saying. I mean, they like the knockout.
What do you mean by that, Nick? I've never even heard Nurselton's voice. Like, I can't even think of his. I don't even know what his voice sounds like. So, he talks too much. I'm not sure. Does he talk like? Is he talking on Twitter and stuff too? But I've only seen really Buckley talking, to be honest. But Buckley always builds up fights and stuff. But
and especially this one. I mean, he really wanted to get on this card, so he feels good.
He's fooling around though, man. Like, hopefully he's not overlooking Nurselton that much. Like, did you even see him
How do you
see him at the weigh-in too, where he's like he's at the weigh-in, he's like pretending like he's like about to fall over or whatever. He's like he's like faking being like super strung out. I don't know, but
it's also good, he's confident, dude, and sometimes that plays in your favor, and sometimes it makes you look really stupid.
Yeah, I guess his last fight too. What was he? He was at the fucking Atlantic City. He was at that pool party, like.
Yeah, literally. This kind of just the guy he is. Yeah, I remember that. I seen that video after. That was crazy. He was popping champagne bottles before the fight.
So Buckley's the man. I mean, either way, like, I guess some people like his trash talk is like a little bit shitty. Like, he'll go super low, but it is what it is. If he keeps the same energy with everyone, I guess they're gonna have to fight either way. So, but Buckley, he's good at building the fight up, and I'm glad he got on this card because, man, this card definitely needed co-main event like that. So
100%.
we'll
This is
see.
a great co-main event.
If Rebecki goes in there and just runs through Buckley, though, like knocks him out in the
We're
first
never
round,
going to see it. We wouldn't see a plus fight until he
he's
fights
probably
someone
gonna.
like Shavkat.
I don't know who he'll fight
Gary.
next. I mean, maybe the UFC would jump him up really quick because this is
I
a
mean,
big
Buckley's
fight.
ranked though, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, this is a big fight. Like they're giving him this fight off of like beating Dumas in like a controversial way. Who's like not even. I don't think
my
Dumas
opinion
is
is terrible. I mean,
like so.
Ribovics against Dumas. I mean, I was so sure he was going to win that fight. That's why. Maybe I know it was a first round knockout, but whatever. It was a weird fight in my opinion.
Yeah,
I feel like he could have looked better. I think this guy. There's still a lot to come out at. He has. He's on a crazy win streak. Hasn't lost in now 5 years since 2019. So yeah maybe it's tough.
Yeah,
it's a lot of weird like Kimura wins, and if you look deeper into the record, I mean the guys he fought are really shitty, and just I don't know. He has so many draws. Like it's just real weird.
Yeah, I saw that, dude. That shit was funny. Did you see that? Like
what?
Dumas and Dylan Butka, they were like on IG Live going back and forth at each other, like talking shit.
Really? Oh gosh.
Yeah. Dumas is like he always is like going crazy. Like
Dumas is a shit person too. I think beat up his girlfriend. I know his girlfriend, really claims that.
He's done that a lot of times. He's like fucking. Like there's like these posts on Twitter where people post like his like 20 shots and shit. But man. Even like I think like before his last fight with Nurmagomedov, he like was getting in some shit. But yeah, him and Butka were like, I don't exactly know. I think Dumas was just like he obviously didn't know, but he was saying like, oh, like you're living off mommy and daddy's money or something. Like he was saying that. But Dylan was like, my parents are dead or something. I'm like, oh man, your parents are dead, motherfucker. Yeah, dude. But fuck, man. That fight, if Buckley wins or Nurmagomedov wins, they're definitely gonna get a big fight next. So that's a big fight for a co-main event. I'm excited for that one. I feel like that honestly is a bigger fight than the main event, but I guess Derek Lewis he sells the tickets. So, but yeah, man.
And how do you kind of see Buckley getting it done? Do you have an idea, or is it tough for you to pick?
I think Buckley, if he wins, it'll be like second or third round finish because I just feel like Nurmagomedov. You look at all of his fights, when he gets put on his back, he seems like he doesn't do the greatest, if he can't get that Kimura early. And Buckley, if he could take him down and get him tired, he's going to finish him, I feel like. I don't see it going 3 rounds. I think Buckley's going to definitely go hard to try to get the finish too, with the crowd being in front of all his friends and family and stuff like that. So, yeah, I feel like this fight is probably not going to go the distance, but obviously the odds on that are not the best,
Yeah, I mean, we really saw it against Luque, but as soon as the fight hit the ground, he just started smashing him with ground and pound. So I think if that goes here, I mean, I think that's what he's going to do. I mean, I think he's going to be – that's one thing I'm a little cautious. I mean, there's a lot of things. This is, like I said, coming in, it's probably the toughest fight to pick on me because Rebecki just might be, great. Like, we really – I mean – 6'5" is crazy at welterweight, and for them both to be on the same card is hilarious.
Yeah, 265. Yeah,
the reach is the same. You said it in your breakdown, So,
yeah, that's
Buckley,
crazy.
I think is a lot faster. To be honest,
that's
I think
he'll
be faster, better boxing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like Buckley. I'm a big fan of. Always bet on
black. Hell yeah, dude. Except the thing is though, it's a black guy versus an Av this time. So we'll see. Both those guys, you always gotta bet on them. So, but fuck, man. Main event: Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Man, I don't know if there's a lot to say about this one for me. I got Derek Lewis in this fight. I've seen some people trying to make the case for Rodrigo in this one, but I just don't see it, man. Rodrigo has fought really low level competition, in terms of comparison to Derek Lewis, and that's a big factor in my opinion at heavyweight. I feel like heavyweight, you definitely need that experience. You have to build up, you have to fight certain guys, certain styles, and I just don't think Rodrigo has done that. I don't think that he's kind of paid his dues at that highest level yet. So I feel like Derek Lewis going to go in here and probably run through him, knock him out. Even if this fight gets extended and Rodrigo's having success, leg kicking him, maybe takes him down a couple of times, I still think Derek Lewis is going to end up finding a way to knock him out. I just feel like he's too big. You saw freaking Jonathan Almeida, the dude was full mounted on him. He couldn't do anything because the guy's so fucking big. It's like if you posture up, he's just going to, like, you can't control the guy, man. So honestly, like if Rodrigo takes him down, I don't think he's going to submit him. I mean, DC submitted him somehow, props to DC on that, but I just don't see Rodrigo doing it. So ultimately, man, I just think Derek Lewis is too athletic and he's too explosive and powerful. And at heavyweight, it's kind of all you need sometimes, especially when you got the toughness that Derek Lewis has and the experience. He's able to weather the storm and come back in so many fights. So that he has that in him. And unless he just comes in here for a paycheck, which maybe he's done that in a couple fights. I mean, you've seen a couple of his fights where it's like, man, Tai Tuivasa fight, a couple other ones where he seemed like he maybe went for it early and then just looked for the way out. But this one, I feel like it's kind of a mismatch in this one, and I like the line, so I like Derek Lewis here.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm not being too confident with my picks. I should be, but Derek Lewis is literally might be all-time top 5 fighter, which, it's crazy. I mean, one of my all-time top 5 fighters. Really, I mean, it's Derek Lewis is right there all-time. Love the guy to death. I bet him against Curtis Blades. Maybe my favorite one ever. But I don't know, man. He's just not looking good as of late. I know surviving against Gajalton, but if there's anyone ever that was trying to, I know someone in the comments said it before, that was trying to get cage time, it was Jalton Almeida fighting Derek Lewis, because talk about someone not wanting to finish a fight. But yeah, I'm going to go Nascimento here. I'm not confident at all. I think he'll knock him out. I think the leg kicks on Derek Lewis, it's just such a big hole in his game plan. He got like those, he's so huge, but he's got kind of like chicken legs and they can be kicked out under him. And yeah, that's just how I see this fight playing out in my head. But of course, against any man in the history of the world, Derek Lewis can knock him out. There's no one who he can. The guy has literally legend. Like his knockout power, his ability to put. It's gonna be, he's equivalent to, like, in my opinion, like Mike Tyson. Like on that level, he's up there with anyone in history. Francis, best power punchers of all time. Foreman, whoever, Derek Lewis he's the knockout king in the UFC, so this guy, he can knock out anyone. And Nascimento, like you said, has fought no one, but I mean, Derek Lewis is saying he's entering his prime. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Like, so for me, I mean, to be a minus 160 favorite, I understand the resume is completely different. This is a huge step up, and we have seen Nascimento put out before by Dawkins, who kind of is not the best, but so if Lewis, man, it's so hard.
We saw what happened when Derek Lewis and Dawkins fought.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like 20-second KO.
And it just doesn't matter. I mean, he can knock anyone out, but I'll go Nascimento here just to be, the younger fighter, and I think he uses that leg kick game plan, and I could see takedowns. I could see the submission threat. Maybe. I know you say it's impossible, but I'm not a fan of Derek Lewis's grappling. But, I understand. I understand it's the weirdest thing ever. It doesn't make sense, and he survives. But, it's really hard to have faith in. I mean, his jiu-jitsu level is, like, really, like, on a technical standpoint. I mean, you know better than me. Come on, dude. He doesn't. I don't know if he knows how to get a guard up, or, he kind of just lays there,
Yeah.
Decides when he wants to get up.
I don't know. They got to pick a line for that, bro. I'm not
Definitely.
sure. I'd say yes if he wins. But
the crowd is going to be going crazy for Derek Lewis, so it's real tough. I just, I said it, whatever. I just have a feeling that's how I see the fight going.
Yeah, it could happen. I don't know, man. I don't trust Nascimento at all. Like, he got dropped by Alain Badeau, I remember, where he was like almost KO'd by him. So it's like,
it's not a good look.
Yeah, but Derek Lewis definitely, he's not in his prime anymore. So, but yeah, I feel like kind of an easy one for Derek, honestly, though. But we'll see. One of us is gonna be right, you know. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man. As far as the whole card, do you got any plays you're confident in or picks you're confident in that you want to give the fans?
Yeah, so actually, I really like that Woodson Caceres under as far as value pick. I think that's great value. Fight ends inside the decision plus 200. That's definitely my, you say it all the time, but that's going to be my best bet of the week. As far as other props, I know we got it shouted out in the parlay, like that Johnson decision prop, which is only plus 200 too. So I don't like it as much as the under in the Woodson fight, but that's another one I really like. And as far as money line picks, I'm all over Borchev. And I'll probably be on Trey Waters, but not anything crazy because he still has to prove it to me. I'll be on Charles Johnson, and probably Terrence McKinney as well. But McKinney is tough. But yeah, I really like. My most confident play is Borchev, and I like that Woodson Caceres under, great value. Maybe do something like parlay Ulberg with Rebecki. I think that's pretty safe. You can also throw in like the over in both of the women's fights. And I think that's, could be a really safe, good parlay. Even though I said CDF is the live dog, so I'm contradicting myself. But whatever. The main event, co-main event, not big confidence, but I will bet Nascimento. I actually like the line on Nascimento as well. Plus 140, of course. I'm picking him to win the fight. That's, good value, plus 140.
Word, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of this card from a betting perspective, but I do like Veronica Hardy. The money line I think is good. I like the her to win via decision as well. So Veronica Hardy to me is a good play. And then I think there's a couple other, big time props that you could look at. Like I think if Billy Goff wins, he's more than likely going to win by knockout in the first or the second round. I mean, I don't see him winning a decision against Trey Waters. I'd be really surprised. So those lines are pretty huge. I mean, you look at, I'm not sure if I remember exactly, but it's like over plus 500 on all of them, I believe. So I think those props have value as well. But yeah, man, honestly, this should be a good card. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes. And they set up a lot of it might not be the biggest names, but the fights definitely are good matchups. So thanks for watching, guys. We got 20 people in here for a long time towards the end of the video, so that's awesome. Hopefully we can keep building and moving it up. Thanks for being active in the chat too. And we're gonna keep doing this, man. We're gonna do it on Sundays. We're gonna do it on Fridays, like today. So make sure to keep coming back in the chat, talking, and we'll keep making the show better and coming up with new stuff. So thanks for watching. And yeah, man, Fitz, if you want to tell them where they could find you on Twitter and maybe some other stuff, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, so just Instagram, Fitzmagic MMA on Instagram and TikTok. Not really on Twitter too much. But yeah, that's it. Just putting out content sometimes on the socials, still trying to build it. But, I love doing this. I can't say it enough, dude. This is so fun just talking. And, really it's, I say, but dude, from my mind, I watch a lot of cappers. You have one of the best minds for this. So it's incredible to have this opportunity and just to pick your brain. And I love talking about the fights. It's I love this. I love the UFC. And, I put in a lot of work into watching these fights and trying to give out good picks and good information and hopefully win us all some money. I know this week we have a lot of different picks, so it really might go bad for me. I'd much rather be
don't sell yourself
in
short.
agreement.
You've been killing it recently.
I know,
You've been
but
killing it. So we'll see. One of us is going to be right. But yeah, man, it's always fun coming on here and talking to you too. So I'm glad we connected. We started doing these fight shows and stuff. But yeah, man, definitely want to try to get some guests too. So Billy, I see you're in the chat, man. Maybe I'll hit you up. You can come on, and we're gonna bring some more guests on and do stuff like that. So we're gonna mix the show up, man. It's gonna be a fun show to watch. So thanks, guys, for sticking around and watching, and watch it back if you didn't see the whole show. Go and watch my predictions, all the other content on my channel. Hit up Fitz on Instagram, talk to him about some fights, and let's make some money, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.